We've all been in those meetings. The ones where everyone is smiling and nodding, but you can just feel the tension simmering right under the surface. Well, today, we're going to talk about why that niceness might actually be a huge red flag and what it really takes to build trust that actually leads to high performance. So, to get started, I want you to picture a team. Just close your eyes for a second. Maybe it's a team you're on right now.
Now, on the surface, this team looks perfect, right? Everybody is just incredibly polite. They smile, they nod along, they always say the right things. From the outside, you think, wow, what a great team.
But then, the meeting ends. And that's when the real story starts. People walk away confused, maybe a little frustrated, because under all that politeness, nobody said what they were actually thinking. The real issues, the tough questions, they never even came up. So what is this thing? This invisible force that's lurking in the background, quietly sabotaging even the most talented groups of people. What is this silent killer of teamwork? Well, that's exactly what we're going to call it, the silent killer of teams. Let's really dig in and diagnose this thing at its core. So if you've ever read Patrick Lencioni's amazing book, The Five Dysfunctions of a Team, you'll know this. The root of it all, the foundational problem, is the absence of trust. And I want you to think about this like the roots of a dying tree. It's not just one problem out of many. No. It's the source of all the other problems. You fix the trust issue, and suddenly everything else starts to get a whole lot easier. Okay, this brings us to a really crucial point. To fix this, we have to completely change the way we think about trust. What if I told you real trust isn't about predicting what someone will do? What if it's actually about being okay with being vulnerable? Just look at the difference here. Most of us, we think of trust as predictability. I trust you to do your job. Simple. But high-performance trust? That's a whole different ballgame. It's the belief that I can be open, I can be messy, I can be vulnerable with you, and I know I won't get punished for it. That simple shift in thinking, it is a total game changer. So let's put a really clear definition on it. Vulnerability-based trust is that deep-down confidence that your teammates have your back. You believe they have good intentions, and because of that, you can be totally open about your mistakes, your weaknesses, your crazy ideas, whatever, and you know it's never going to be used against you. And this is what that actually looks like day to day. In a team with real trust, it's not just okay, it is actively encouraged to say, hey, I messed up, or I'm totally stuck, can someone help me? You can disagree passionately about an idea, and it never gets personal. It's just about being human, together, trying to solve hard problems. Okay, so how do you know if your team is actually suffering from this? Let's talk about the signs of broken trust. And I want you to see if you recognize any of these in your own world. So how does this actually show up? Think about your team for a second. Are the meetings polite but kind of lifeless? Do people hold back what they really think? Are mistakes swept under the rug? If you're nodding along to any of this, that's a pretty strong signal that your team is running on niceness instead of real, genuine trust. And this, right here, is the key takeaway. Just let this one sink in for a minute. Niceness is not trust. Vulnerability is. A team can be super polite, but without that feeling of safety, that psychological safety to be real and vulnerable, they're never going to reach their full potential. It's just not possible. All right, so we figured out the problem. Now the big question, how do we actually fix it? Here is a practical, step-by-step guide you can use to start rebuilding trust, like today. So here are 4 steps that really work. Number 1, and this is non-negotiable. Leaders go first. Vulnerability has to start at the top. If the boss isn't willing to say, I don't know, or I made a mistake, nobody else will feel safe too. Second, share personal histories. I know it sounds simple, but just taking 5 minutes for people to share something about their life outside of work, it reminds us that we're all just human beings. Third, create a no-blame culture. The second a mistake happens, the question has to change from, whose fault is this, to, okay, what can we learn from this? And finally, give kind feedback. Frame it as being in their corner, wanting them to grow, not as an attack. So what's the big payoff for doing all this hard work? Well, let's look at the after picture. What actually changes when trust becomes the bedrock of your team? I mean, the difference is just, it's night and day. Look at meetings. They go from polite and boring to full of energy and passionate debate. Why? Because people are finally talking about the stuff that actually matters. And my favorite one on this list is the shift in focus. You go from self-protection, where you're always watching your own back, to team protection, where everyone has each other's backs. That's when real collaboration just happens. It becomes effortless. And this really brings us to the most powerful idea of all. The strongest teams aren't built on perfection. They're built on people who are brave enough to be imperfect together. It's not about having a team of superstars with no weaknesses. It's about creating a place where those weaknesses don't have to be hidden.
So the question I really want to leave you with is this. Is your team just being nice? Or is it actually brave enough to build real, deep, lasting trust?